these photos actually show Noah's Ark, then they can prove that everything that's written in the Bible about this whole event is actually true, right? This is a historical event that actually happened.
First on Fox, a biblical story is getting new life.
In the snowy peaks of eastern Turkey, a bold team embarked on a daring quest to uncover Noah's Ark from the Great Flood. Armed with cutting-edge technology and unwavering resolve, they believed they had found the remarkable man-made structure dating back 4,800 years. But will this astonishing evidence be accepted by scientists? Can an ancient wooden relic truly authenticate biblical tales? Join us as we unravel the thrilling discovery of Noah's Ark. It was an exciting yet freezing day in eastern Turkey as the dedicated explorer team prepared for their mountain expedition. This passionate group of Ark enthusiasts had been scouring the icy slopes of Mount Ararat for years, driven by the dream of finding Noah's legendary ship from the Bible. Leading the crew was Dr. Fatih Ahmed Yüksel, an archaeologist who had been obsessed with uncovering Noah's Ark ever since he was a young boy. Captivated by stories of the famous biblical boat, will their discovery rewrite history? Unraveling the mystery, the search for Noah's Ark. Yüksel assembled a skilled team of researchers, archaeology students, expert climbers, photographers, and technical experts. Equipped with advanced cameras, mapping equipment, and specially designed ground-penetrating radar arrays, the team was ready for the challenge. If we meticulously scan every inch of the terrain, we'll discover something incredible, Yüksel enthusiastically told his cohort as they planned the search. He was convinced that if Noah's Ark existed, it had to be preserved somewhere up on the freezing, wind-battered peaks. The hardy team spent days hiking up the snow-covered slopes, braving thin air, battering winds, and frigid nights camping as they searched for clues. Finally, they arrived at the Durupanar site on the Tendurek mountain range. Local tradition held that this was the final resting place of the biblical ship, stuck fast in the mountains of Ararat after the Great Flood ended. As the crew carefully surveyed the hilly terrain, researcher Andrew Jones noticed something sticking out of the snow. He called to Yüksel, excitement in his voice, pointing out a shape with a symmetrical appearance and clear straight lines. They rushed over to the site with great anticipation. Large darkened timbers arranged in distinct straight lines and right angles protruded from the deep snowdrifts, too regular to be a natural formation. Could this be what they were thinking? The team held their breath, wondering if they had finally uncovered the legendary Noah's Ark. The discovery unfolds. Is this Noah's Ark? Yüksel and Jones rapidly deployed their ground-penetrating radar scanners, while the rest of the team watched eagerly over their shoulders. As the radar maps generated, they revealed an enormous structured mass buried under the snow and volcanic debris. Yüksel stared at the cascading waterfall of frozen timbers on his scanner, his mind racing. Jones exclaimed that it was approximately the perfect size described in the Book of Genesis. With separate internal compartments and everything, the construction is processed lumber and metal. The team cheered jubilantly, high-fiving and celebrating as their cameras snapped wild photos of each other. After years of determination and effort, had they discovered the remains of Noah's legendary Ark? Yüksel and Jones rushed to spread the word, contacting local Turkish museums and British media outlets to reveal their remarkable discovery. Yüksel excitedly told reporters that the formation simply wasn't natural, that it perfectly matched a massive compartmentalized ancient wooden marine vessel. It could well be Noah's Ark itself, he proclaimed. Meanwhile, the crew carefully extracted fragments of the timbers and metal components from the snow to send for laboratory analysis. Radiocarbon dating of the materials yielded staggering results. The wood and metal relics were approximately 4,800 years old. This meant the giant Ark remnants they had uncovered high on Mount Ararat could have plausibly been constructed and utilized by Noah himself, aligning perfectly with the commonly accepted timeline for the Great Flood between 5000 and 3000 BC. The evidence was compelling, but would it be enough to convince the scientific community and the world that they had indeed found the legendary vessel? The story of their discovery was just beginning. Yüksel told his excited team that their findings aligned flawlessly with the biblical chronology and that the pieces constituted the first real physical evidence that Noah's ship and the flood truly existed, just like Scripture described. The electrifying news quickly spread across the globe, making international headlines and stirring intense debate. While many Christian organizations celebrated the discovery as proof that biblical history was real, skeptical scientists had their doubts. The famous evolutionary biologist Dr. William Denvers, in a heated television interview, argued that simply finding old wood on a mountain does not constitute definitive proof of anything. While the results were promising, the world awaited more concrete evidence from Yüksel's team to validate such an extraordinary claim. Regardless, Dr. Yüksel and researcher Jones were thrilled they could potentially unravel at least a portion of the centuries-old mystery surrounding the existence of Noah's Ark. Further study of the surprising organic artifacts extracted from the frigid depths of Mount Ararat may indeed reinforce the hypothesis that these remains originate from the fabled biblical lifeboat itself. For now, the tireless explorers kept the precise location of their precious discovery completely confidential. But they continued conducting additional high-tech analyses, preparing to shock the world with more revelations that could rewrite accepted biblical history forever. A stunning announcement of a possible discovery of Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat ignites a fiery debate between religious believers and the scientific community, leaving the world waiting on definitive proof to settle arguments and reshape history. Hot debate over legitimacy of the discovered Noah's Ark. As soon as Dr. Yüksel and Andrew Jones publicly announced their alleged discovery of Noah's Ark remains on Mount Ararat, it became the top story in news outlets across the globe. While many in the religious community celebrated it as tangible evidence that major events in the Old Testament truly occurred, the scientific community approached the claim with high skepticism. A fiery debate rapidly erupted between Bible scholars, archaeologists, geologists, historians, and evolutionary scientists regarding the legitimacy of the findings and what they meant for established history if proven accurate. Excited biblical experts like Dr. Raymond Johns from Yale Divinity School expressed stunned reactions. This could be archaeological proof that key scripture stories like the flood and Noah actually happened, Johns declared passionately on a CNN special panel. If the wood relic's carbon date to the timeline stated in Genesis, it powerfully validates the historical accuracy of the Bible. Many Christian churches use the tantalizing possibility of the Ark's discovery in their sermons and teachings. Pastor Frank from a small-town congregation in Oklahoma preached, "The fact we can now see and touch pieces of God's actual covenant with Noah vindicates our unwavering faith in Holy Scripture." Groups like God Evidence Archaeology raised money to send more Christian exploration teams to comb Mount Ararat in light of the bombshell revelation. The skeptical viewpoint. On the other side of the debate, skeptical scientists remained unconvinced. Dr. William Denvers, a renowned evolutionary biologist, cautioned against jumping to conclusions. Finding ancient wood on a mountain is intriguing, but it does not automatically equate to the biblical ark, Denvers argued in a heated television interview. We need thorough, multidisciplinary analysis to understand what we've actually found. Geologists pointed out that the region's volcanic activity could explain the presence of the wood and metal fragments, suggesting they might have originated from a more recent historical period or a different context altogether. Historians emphasized the importance of corroborating the discovery with other archaeological evidence before drawing definitive conclusions, awaiting further evidence. Meanwhile, Yüksel and his team continued their rigorous analysis of the artifacts. They remained optimistic that further high-tech investigations and peer-reviewed studies would provide the concrete evidence needed to validate their extraordinary claim. As they meticulously documented and examined the site, they prepared to unveil more findings to the world. The debate over the legitimacy of the discovered Noah's Ark remains intense, with both religious believers and the scientific community eagerly awaiting more definitive proof. Whether this discovery will reshape our understanding of biblical history or be dismissed as another intriguing but inconclusive find is yet to be determined. Skepticism and controversy surround the discovery of Noah's Ark. On the other side, skeptical geologists pointed to long-settled evidence in the Earth's geological record. Professor Martin Stokes, head of UC Berkeley's archaeology department, flatly stated on MSNBC, "The planet's landscape simply does not show evidence of a worldwide cataclysmic flood a few thousand years ago. Even if they found an old boat structure, that doesn't topple the accepted chronology of human civilization built from centuries of research." Some scientists even accuse the explorers of fabricating or staging the entire discovery for publicity and money, rather than basing their conclusions on careful scientific analysis. This skepticism was echoed by Islamic clerics in Turkey who believed Noah's Ark crashed elsewhere. An exasperated Turkish imam told reporters, "It is religious foolishness to keep searching Mount Ararat and ignore the holy site where Noah's Ark landed, as indicated by the prophet." He said that these alleged findings fail to sway their faithful who know the real shrine location. Leading evolutionary scientists also weighed in. Famed paleoanthropologist Dr. Melanie Chang tweeted, "One anomalous mountainwood structure does not invalidate evolutionary science or our migration records built from millennia of fossils and DNA." Ongoing debate and search for truth. As the debate raged on, Yüksel and his team remained steadfast in their belief that their discovery was genuine. They continued their rigorous analysis, confident that further high-tech investigations and peer-reviewed studies would validate their extraordinary claim. Meanwhile, religious believers eagerly awaited more evidence that could confirm the biblical narrative, while the scientific community called for more substantial proof before accepting such a paradigm-shifting discovery. The controversy over the legitimacy of the discovered Noah's Ark remains intense, with both sides presenting compelling arguments. Whether this discovery will reshape our understanding of biblical history or be dismissed as another intriguing but inconclusive find is yet to be determined. The world watches with bated breath as the search for definitive proof continues. Keep watching as the story unfolds. The global debate over Noah's Ark intensifies. The heated arguments went viral on major social platforms. Both sides hurled evidence and counterpoints back and forth, often talking past each other rather than engaging in constructive dialogue. Even by using the latest technology, how can they reliably date the wood that old? Questioned geology professors. Bible defenders retorted that they were just scared this would disprove the theory of evolution. Scientists called for independent peer review of methodology, while believers demanded they stop suppressing the truth that their faith has held for centuries. A neutral evaluation. Amid the controversy, Dr. Yüksel agreed to lead several respected neutral evaluators to the secret site to inspect the Ark remnants firsthand and provide their assessments. The world held its breath for the decisive results. Had Yüksel actually achieved the impossible and found Noah's elusive vessel frozen atop Turkey's infamous mountain? Or was it an elaborate ruse about to be exposed? Torn between belief and evidence. In the middle stood figurative historian Dr. Alice Ung, torn between conflicting personal beliefs. She journaled while awaiting the final verdict, expressing that her faith tells her the Bible is true, but her career is built on establishing verified timelines of ancient peoples. As a woman of God, she prayed to see His wonders revealed in her time. Like Dr. Ung, people on both sides felt uncertain whether to hope the controversial discovery was proven or debunked. The world awaits. The anticipation was palpable as the neutral evaluators began their meticulous inspection of the site. Could this discovery bridge the divide between faith and science, or would it deepen the chasm? The global community watched intently, awaiting a verdict that could potentially rewrite history or reaffirm long-held scientific principles. In the end, whether the discovery of Noah's Ark is validated or debunked, the journey itself highlights the enduring human quest for understanding and the profound impact of ancient stories on our modern world. Keep watching as the story unfolds and the world awaits the final verdict. While the fierce debate carried on, Yüksel's Ark remnants continued undergoing analysis at classified laboratories, with the world hanging onto each emerging detail. Some complained no evidence would ever be enough to persuade the opposition. Others argued that something of this magnitude required extensive consideration before concluding. but the vast majority watched the unprecedented news unfold with open curiosity rather than fixed judgments. Could these puzzling organic artifacts truly reshape religious doctrine, scientific theory, and the accepted chronology of human origins? Or would the controversial discovery fade into disappointed obscurity like the many failed expeditions before it? Until final confirmation came, the raging debate persisted. When radiocarbon dating reveals the massive wooden structure on Mount Ararat originates precisely around the timeline of Noah's Ark in biblical lore, it ignites shockwaves and sparks arguments between religious groups, now convinced of historical accuracy versus skeptical scientists clinging to old theories. Let's see how they got convinced. The radiocarbon dating and flood timeline implications. When Dr. Yüksel and Andrew Jones revealed the stunning discovery of a massive wooden structure remarkably similar to Noah's Ark as described in the Bible, the entire world was captivated. If proven authentic, such a finding could rewrite history and canon. But for both religious and scientific acceptance, the remnants required rigorous verification beyond a reasonable doubt. Rigorous verification, radiocarbon dating. The first crucial validation test came when Yüksel transported carefully extracted fragments of the ancient wooden beams and other organic materials to certified radiocarbon dating laboratories under strict confidentiality agreements. This analysis aimed to determine the age of the components by measuring residual carbon-14 isotope levels with higher precision than previously possible. Stunning lab results. After tense weeks of waiting, the lab results sent shockwaves across the globe. Based on the carbon decay signatures within the organic samples, the wood and other materials were dated to approximately 4,800 years old. According to these analytics, the giant weathered timbers originated from around 2,800 BC, plus or minus several generations for error margins. Yüksel revealed reverently during an explosive televised interview that these timbers predate even the oldest known structures, and the flood timeline stated in scripture was between 5,000 and 3,000 BC. The overlap was too compelling to dismiss. Implications for biblical history. In other words, the carbon-dated wreckage found high on Mount Ararat could have plausibly been built and sealed by Noah himself around the traditional date ranges associated with the Great Flood cataclysm. Biblical scholars were stunned at the implications. Dr. William Jennings, a prominent Old Testament professor, affirmed that if the laboratory carbon measurements are accurate, then these organic remains definitively place the origins of the structure during the narrow window that Genesis cites for a worldwide disaster. The coincidence is astounding, Jennings said, highlighting the potential of this discovery to align biblical narratives with historical timelines. The debate continues. While the radiocarbon dating results bolstered the claims of Yüksel and his team, the debate was far from settled. Skeptics demanded further independent analyses and multidisciplinary studies to rule out all possible sources of error or alternative explanations for the findings. Yet, for many believers, the carbon-dated evidence was a powerful affirmation of their faith. Awaiting further evidence, as the world eagerly awaited more detailed studies and peer-reviewed publications, the discovery on Mount Ararat continued to ignite intense discussions. Would further analysis solidify this as one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in history, or would additional scrutiny reveal more mundane explanations? The story of Noah's Ark, long a symbol of faith, was now also a focal point for scientific investigation. Following Dr. Jennings' groundbreaking research, theologians eagerly delved into the passages of Genesis recounting Noah's Ark, stirred by the scientific validation that was gaining traction within religious communities. Could this newfound scientific evidence transform long-held biblical narratives from metaphorical tales to factual records? Pastors worldwide, fueled by a renewed fervor, reassured their congregations that modern science, including carbon dating, now corroborates the historical accuracy of their sacred teachings. Yet, amidst this excitement, dissenting voices emerged from skeptical scientists. The lead geologist, skeptical of the dating techniques and conclusions, pressed for more conclusive evidence, questioning the possibility of sample contamination. He emphasized the inherent complexities in establishing accurate carbon decay curves spanning millennia, underscoring the need for a thorough review of the entire analytical process to address potential procedural gaps. Some reluctantly acknowledged the accuracy of carbon dating, but remained skeptical of its implications. A group of anthropologists, writing in Times magazine, cautioned against jumping to conclusions, arguing that the discovery of old wood alone doesn't definitively prove the structure to be Noah's Ark or validate accounts of a global flood. They clung to existing records of gradual societal development through the Stone Age. A passionate university biologist who challenged the validity of carbon dating faced professional repercussions for his outspoken views, lamenting the acceptance of these results in a community built on gradual speciation models. Emotions ran high as debates raged in academia and the media over the implications of the radiocarbon findings. Despite accusations of religious bias, Yücsel's team maintained their neutrality, emphasizing the need for further investigation using rigorous methods. Privately, Jones admitted to chaplains that the alignment of lab dates with flood chronology had surprised them. What truly mattered was that calibrated carbon dating had made the seemingly impossible possible, pinpointing the age of the Mount Ararat structure to the biblical era of Noah's Ark. Whether embraced enthusiastically or with reservation, the findings drew global attention from both faith circles and academia, sparking a quest for definitive answers that had only just begun. Debate over the secret location of the Ark's resting place. When Dr. Yücsel and Andrew Jones unveiled their groundbreaking discovery of Noah's Ark remnants on Mount Ararat, the world clamored for more information. However, the explorers kept the exact location of their find under wraps, fearing that an influx of untrained visitors could harm the site. Yet, this secrecy only fueled speculation about whether they had indeed identified the legendary vessel's resting place as described in Genesis, potentially confirming the epic tale of the Great Flood itself. According to the book of Genesis, after 40 days and nights of relentless rain, the floodwaters gradually receded, revealing dry mountaintops where Noah's Ark came to rest. While the precise location remained a mystery for centuries, tradition eventually settled on Mount Ararat in Turkey, the tallest peak in the ancient kingdom of Urartu. So, when Yücsel mentioned detecting a massive ark-like structure on Mount Ararat, millions made the connection, aligning with centuries-old beliefs that this biblical mountain was the Ark's final destination. Renowned Old Testament scholar Father Etheridge, in his widely followed podcast, celebrated the discovery, asserting that finding Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat validates Christian doctrine as rooted in historical truth. Sunday sermons echoed this sentiment, with pastors affirming to their congregations that this revelation should strengthen their faith, as experts had located the Ark exactly where Scripture placed it. Even the Conservative Theological Society, which had previously ostracized Yücsel for exploring evolution, praised him, acknowledging that the discovery brought honor to their beliefs. As excitement surged over the discovery of Noah's Ark remains on Mount Ararat, dissenting voices in biblical archaeology and geography sought to temper expectations. They pointed out that Genesis doesn't explicitly mention Mount Ararat, but rather refers to the mountains of Ararat, a region encompassing numerous peaks within the ancient Urartu kingdom. Skeptical scholars, like religious history professor Dr. Isaiah Dunn, emphasized that finding old wood on one mountain in eastern Turkey doesn't definitively identify it as Noah's biblical landing site. Dunn's online article titled "Why the Discovery Proves Nothing" argued that early Hebrew texts use Ararat broadly to refer to kingdoms or regions, suggesting the Ark could have landed on entirely different slopes, hundreds of miles apart from the modern mountain. Such dissent kept debates lively and ongoing. In response, proponents of the discovery defended their position, questioning where else the mountains of Ararat could possibly refer to, if not the highest and most prominent peak itself. Andrew Jones, expressing his confusion to Yücsel, wondered why they couldn't accept that they were guided to the discovery by God's providence, regardless of the precise location. Each objection to the secrecy surrounding the site was met with a counterpoint. Unfortunately, the fervor to pinpoint the Ark's remnants led to tragic incidents. Wealthy adventurer Brock Lancaster's reckless solo climbing attempts, dubbed Noah's true resting place, ended in tragedy when he disappeared mid-expedition, leaving behind only his abandoned gear and human remains. This unfortunate event only added to Mount Ararat's infamous reputation. Throughout the controversy, Dr. Yüksel's team remained steadfast in their decision to withhold the precise coordinates of the site. Yüksel assured that when the time is right, they will guide dedicated researchers there. For now, preserving the site from contamination through further scientific study is paramount. As debates raged over assumptions about the location, the place where a potential man-made relic, matching Genesis details lay frozen, remained confidential, a tantalizing secret shielded from premature revelation. The biblical and Quranic accounts of Noah's Ark. The story of Noah's Ark is a captivating narrative that transcends various major religions, including Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. For centuries, the tale of the Great Flood, which swept the earth, and Noah's construction of a colossal vessel, guided by divine inspiration, has sparked imaginations and prompted profound questions. The earliest account of Noah's journey through the floodwaters can be found in the book of Genesis within the Hebrew Bible. According to the biblical narrative, God looked upon the rampant immorality and corruption that plagued humanity with deep distress. People had forsaken their Creator, disregarding ethical principles and perpetuating widespread chaos. In response, God made a momentous decision to cleanse the earth and start anew. In the midst of this tumultuous era, Noah emerged as a beacon of righteousness and integrity in the eyes of God. When the Creator revealed his plan for a catastrophic flood to purify the earth and begin afresh, he entrusted Noah with the monumental task of constructing an ark. This vessel would serve as a refuge for Noah's family and representatives of every species, ensuring their preservation amid the deluge. Following God's precise instructions, Noah embarked on the monumental task of constructing a colossal ark, meticulously adhering to a blueprint provided by the divine. The ark, a 3-level wooden structure, stretched an impressive 300 cubits in length, 50 cubits in width, and 30 cubits in height, translating to approximately 437 feet long, 73 feet wide, and 44 feet high in modern measurements. This undertaking was nothing short of extraordinary, requiring Noah to fashion an immense ocean-worthy vessel using materials and technology available centuries before the grandeur of ancient Egypt. As detailed in Genesis, God imparted intricate guidance to Noah for the construction of what essentially amounted to the world's first floating menagerie. The ark featured multiple levels, with compartments designated for various species of animals, humans, and birds. Every inch of the ark was meticulously sealed inside and out with pitch to ensure its complete waterproofing. An 18-inch opening encircled the perimeter of the top deck, while a substantial door was situated into the side. Despite the seemingly insurmountable challenges, Noah remained steadfast in his faith, trusting that if God commanded such a monumental endeavor in anticipation of an impending catastrophic flood, he would provide a way. Noah rallied his sons, wives, and daughters-in-law, tasking them with gathering materials and commencing construction. Scripture recounts that the colossal endeavor spanned approximately 100 years, during which Noah and his family tirelessly toiled amidst ridicule and skepticism from their neighbors. Despite the derision, Noah persevered, resolute in his obedience to divine instruction. Upon completion, as Noah, his family, and the animals sought refuge within the ark, the floodgates of heaven were opened, unleashing torrents of rain upon the earth. Simultaneously, colossal subterranean reservoirs erupted, sending towering jets of water soaring into the atmosphere. Within 7 days of entering the ark, Noah and his companions witnessed the onset of the cataclysmic flood, marking the commencement of a trial of faith and endurance unlike any other. During the harrowing 40 days and nights of relentless precipitation, even the tallest mountains succumbed to nearly 30 feet of water, extinguishing all terrestrial life. The earth transformed into a vast, briny sea, with the completed ark serving as the sole sanctuary for a remnant population of humanity and the animal kingdom. For 5 agonizing months, Noah, his family, and all the creatures endured the tumultuous storm until its ferocity finally abated and the waters gradually receded. Coming to rest atop one of the peaks of the Ararat mountain range, nestled between modern-day Turkey and Armenia, the bewildered passengers emerged from the Ark as the ancestors of a rejuvenated humanity. In the Islamic tradition, based on Quranic passages, Noah is revered as the second Adam and is said to have lived for another 350 years after the floodwaters receded. The Quran, the central text of Islam, devotes over 100 verses to Noah, known as Nu in Arabic. The Islamic narrative closely parallels the Genesis account, with variations such as Nu and his companions spending approximately 6 months aboard the Ark. The Quran depicts Nu pleading with God regarding the moral corruption of his neighbors, ultimately accepting their fate as irreversible. Across the holy scriptures of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the Torah, the Old Testament, and the Quran respectively, the enduring legacy of Prophet Noah Nu is enshrined. Despite the passage of millennia, the tale of a faithful servant obeying divine command to rescue life on Earth continues to captivate hearts and minds, sparking scholarly debates and capturing headlines. While questions persist about the historical accuracy of the Great Flood and the fate of Noah's vessel, one universal truth remains: with unwavering faith, every storm can be weathered. As God tasks devoted Noah with constructing a colossal lifeboat based on cryptic instructions, scholars grapple with intriguing logistical challenges, pondering the intricacies of cargo capacity, animal accommodations, and waste management during the extended tempest, puzzling details and practicalities of the Ark. Despite the seemingly insurmountable challenges presented by the epic of Noah's Ark, visionary thinkers from diverse fields, theologians, mathematicians, naval engineers, and more, have tirelessly grappled with the practicalities of Noah's divine mandate. How could a small group of individuals construct a ship longer than 4 football fields using only Bronze Age tools? What mechanisms prevented thousands of wild animals from succumbing to chaos during their confinement? Did the ancient Israelites possess the shipbuilding expertise necessary to craft an ocean-worthy vessel surpassing the length of the Titanic? These questions persist, yet emerging theories and evidence offer glimpses of credibility to the enduring legend of Noah's Ark. While records of daily life aboard the colossal vessel are scarce, Genesis provides astonishingly precise instructions directly from the Creator regarding the raw construction specifications of the 3-story wooden behemoth. Utilizing the common cubit measurement of the era, derived from the length of a man's forearm from elbow to fingertip, God ordained the following estimated dimensions: length 300 cubits, approximately 450 feet; width 50 cubits, roughly 75 feet; height 30 cubits, about 45 feet. Furthermore, the Ark was to be divided into 3 decks, each containing chambers, and a mysterious feature referred to as the Sohar in Hebrew. The interpretation of this term has perplexed scholars for centuries. Some posit that it denotes narrow openings just below the roof, designed to allow natural light into the interior, a concept akin to historic naval architecture aimed at keeping cargo dry while illuminated. Others propose more imaginative interpretations, suggesting the Sohar could have been a retractable roof or canopy structure crafted from the ancient marvel material known as gopher wood, mentioned in Genesis as part of the Ark's construction. Tim Lovett, a nautical enthusiast, challenges the conventional portrayal of Noah's Ark as a bulky cargo barge, proposing instead a sleeker and more seaworthy design. Through advanced digital modeling and analysis of Bronze Age shipbuilding techniques, Lovett suggests that the Ark could have been constructed to be completely watertight, featuring gradually narrowing floors and outward-leaning walls to enhance structural stability and deflect waves. In his essay, Could Noah's Ark Float?, Lovett delves into the Ark's potential stability in the open ocean, positing that a ballasted keel, commonly utilized in medieval ships, could have played a crucial role. This heavy mass, typically composed of stone or iron, would have counterbalanced the weight of the cargo and animals within the Ark, ensuring equilibrium even amidst turbulent waters. However, addressing the care of the Ark's proposed inhabitants using Bronze Age methods presents significant challenges. literal interpretations depicting animals confined to narrow rows of boxes akin to modern stables or kennels raise concerns regarding ventilation and sanitation during extended oceanic voyages. Nevertheless, theorists like Lovett advocate for a degree of practical flexibility, considering the divine nature of the structure. Curating a manageable population size and housing animals in habitats resembling their natural environments would have been essential. Nonetheless, providing sufficient diverse food, encompassing meats, fish, grains, grasses, and fruits, for approximately 420 days, alongside meeting water requirements, presents a formidable logistical undertaking. In the 1970s, creationist author Henry M. Morris proposed various theories in his book Noah's Ark, a feasibility study addressing the practicalities of fulfilling the needs of the Ark's inhabitants during their year-long voyage. One scenario envisioned packs of proto-dogs assisting Noah's family in hunting larger animals, while smaller creatures subsisted on grains and gathered edibles. Alternatively, Morris suggested the possibility of divine intervention, such as inducing hibernation in the animals or supernaturally sustaining them throughout the journey. In terms of operational logistics, historians speculate on a hierarchical structure under Noah's leadership, akin to modern nautical chains of command. As the captain of the voyage, Noah would have assessed conditions, ensured sufficient provisions, and made decisions regarding balance and seaworthiness. His sons and daughters-in-law likely oversaw designated deck crews responsible for tasks like feeding animals, waste removal, and maintenance, including repairing leaks and cleaning. Due to the Ark's immense size, navigation and course corrections would have likely been gradual, employing collaborative efforts such as heaving, pushing, or steering oars around the exterior, similar to techniques used for Egyptian royal funeral barges centuries later. Addressing challenges such as waste management, ventilation, lighting, and balancing the Ark's weight continues to spark lively debates among religious scholars, scientists, and historians. While fantastical elements such as futuristic-sounding construction materials and mammoth carrying capacity may be interpreted symbolically rather than literally, this allows for a focus on the moral significance and implications of the Great Flood story, rather than becoming mired in debates about ancient technicalities. Absolutely, Noah's journey serves as a powerful symbol of faith and obedience in the face of doubt and adversity. While historical evidence may be lacking, belief in the scriptural account remains a deeply personal conviction for many. The story of Noah and the Ark illustrates the transformative power of trust in divine guidance, offering hope and reassurance that God can lead believers through life's most daunting challenges. The Ark endures as a timeless symbol of salvation and renewal, reminding us that even amidst the fiercest storms, there is always the promise of a fresh start. Ultimately, Noah's story encourages us to place our faith in God's wisdom and providence, knowing that He will safely navigate us through the trials of life. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.